start off so slowly, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, the spring is coming, which I know is very good news, right? We've had a winter, as they say. All right, I'm going to start this up here, and then it will slowly drift down. But at least it'll stop here. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about 4 ways to love your life. So do you want to love your life? Anybody want to love their life?
Yes.
I know I do. I really don't like feeling down. I like feeling up, happy. I like to love my life. But I haven't always, and I don't always. So I've discovered a few things I can do, or ways I can look at life. Perspective shifts that get me back on track to loving my life. There are a lot of things that can stress us out, frustrate us, or lead us to dissatisfaction. There are what I call garden variety stressors that many, if not most of us, experience in life. Busyness, too much on our to-do lists, financial strain, feeling disconnected in relationships with your spouse, your friends, family members. Then there are extraordinary stressors like illness, your own or loved one's, loss of a loved one, unanticipated obstacles that we could not have planned for, accidents. And there are global stressors like political climate, unrest, war, division, concerns about our planet. So there are plenty of things we can worry about, right? Stress about, feel unpleasant emotions in response to, like anger, sadness, frustration. These things can rob our joy. We can get weighed down by any of the things I've noted, plus our own personal woes, our own personal list. We can feel depleted, dissatisfied, unhappy, even a sort of dullness. As I mentioned, I don't like feeling this way. So I've paid attention, and I've learned a few things over the years about how to be happier, more positive, energized, how to love my life. So I'm going to share them with you today, and I'm going to give you, there's a big long list, but I'm going to give you my top 4 ways. So number 1 is love you. Do you love yourself? I've touched on this many times before if you've come here and heard me speak, but I believe it bears repeating, partially because I've struggled with loving myself. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, is your default to shame and blame yourself when things don't work out as you expected? Perhaps, for example, you found it more difficult to be the amazing mom you pictured. Rather than saying to yourself, wow, momming is harder than I imagined, you tend to should all over yourself. I should be calmer. I should be able to pull together healthier meals every night. I should be able to handle all my responsibilities better. Or maybe you've got condemning thoughts, negative thoughts towards yourself running through your head far too often. You look in the mirror and you say, I'm so bad. I'm a terrible wife, mother, friend, or I will never be able to stop screaming. Loving yourself means accepting what God says about you, that you're fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139:14, that we're made in God's image, Genesis 1:26. And we're called to love others as we love ourselves, which infers that to love others well, we must love ourselves well. We have thousands of thoughts every day, and scientific research indicates 80% of those thoughts are negative. How do you feel? How do you think about you? Do you love you? Do you respect yourself? Treat yourself with care, kindness, grace, compassion, understanding. Pay attention to your thoughts about you. If you find you're trash talking you, it's time to make a conscious effort to stop. Remember, repetitive thoughts create ruts in our brain. So you may have some default negative thinking about you that you need to stop, and it may take time and practice. So I dare you to look in the mirror first thing tomorrow morning and say, I love you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And believe it. I know it sounds so simple, but this is a good place to start. And how about your temple? God says our body are temples of the Holy Spirit, and we are to honor it. How are you doing with that? We moms, like a compass, are at the center of our families, like it or not. As we go, so go our families. when we are at the end of our nerves, when we're tired, hungry, worn out, when all of our energy stores are depleted, our family feels it too. We're in this together. And our stress spills out and sometimes pours out on our family members. So we have to take care of ourselves, even in the smallest of ways. One of the things I neglected when I was younger was at times eating. I would just put it off, busy with getting babies changed and fed, kids dressed and ready for school or play, getting myself a shower, maybe, or at least brushing my teeth and getting dressed. Maybe. Who had time to eat? Maybe bite off something at one of my kids' plates, but there were too many times when it was 2 in the afternoon and I hadn't really eaten. In addition to it not being good for my metabolism, I would have a sugar drop and I would get cranky. Clearly, my kids had caught on at a young age. When Farrell, now 35, was about 4 years old, I heard her exclaim from the playroom, "I'm so hungry I could fart." Now, she didn't get it quite right, but she had often heard me exclaim, "I'm so hungry I could faint." So even today, if I get a little testy, cranky, edgy, my grown children will ask, "Mom, did you eat?" And in those moments, the answer is usually no. So what one little thing can you do for yourself today? Close your eyes for a few minutes when the baby naps. We're just talking about that at our table. Feed yourself before you're over hungry. Drink a few glasses of water to stay hydrated. These are normal maintenance things. Or how about just a couple of deep breaths? Did you know that intentional deep breathing lowers your blood pressure, reduces tension, increases blood flow, and that's really just a few of the many things. So I'm going to challenge you, the next time you feel ready to burst, try taking a few deep breaths. So number 2 of the ways I'm sharing to love your life is instead of having what you want what you have. Do you have a sense of dissatisfaction because you want more or different than what you have? That's a surefire way to come up short. Ask me how I know. Do you find yourself saying, "I just wish, fill in the blank, I had a new car, we could fly off on a family trip to Disney World, or if only, fill in another blank, I were 10 pounds thinner, I'd be happier. If only my kids didn't bicker so much, I would be calmer." There's nothing wrong with goals, dreams, and visions. I'm all about them. One of my favorite quotes is, "If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time." Because it's true. We have to know what we want, what we hope for, or we won't know when we get there. But in the meantime, don't let what you want cloud out all that you already have. When we bought our first house in Montclair many years ago, I remember being so excited. This house was exactly what I dreamed of. An older, classic 4-bedroom colonial in the town I had grown up in. I had drawn pictures in my childhood that looked just like this home, complete with a red door and those curtains draped in the windows that we pulled back with braided cords. But soon enough, I wanted more. I started to want what I didn't have. A new kitchen, a bigger yard, a new minivan. Soon enough, I found myself saying, I want. What I had was not enough. And let me tell you, God got a hold of me on this one. I was convicted that with all the gifts I'd been given, I was looking around and very quickly wanting more. Number 3 is gratitude. This was the antidote to all that wanting what I didn't have. Gratitude. When we shift to thinking from having what we want to wanting what we have, it's much easier to count our blessings. Instead of thinking about what we don't have, we become grateful for everything we do have. We really can cultivate an attitude of gratitude in our families too. And who doesn't want a bunch of grateful kids? One of the ways to do that is around the dinner table. When you're going about your rounds in the car, we spend a lot of time in our cars, or before you kiss your kids goodnight, just make it a habit to ask, okay kids, what is one thing you are grateful for today? Say grace at every meal, reminding ourselves and our kids that we are thankful to have food to eat. Keep a journal by your bed and jot down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Like any habit, that may seem like a lot at first. It may seem impossible. But if you want to develop an attitude of gratitude, it does take practice. Soon after I discovered my new wants, though I certainly had all I needed, I went a step further. Having moved from the city to the burbs, we had a much greater need for 2 cars, but finances were tight. When my husband's grandfather passed away, he left a car that was almost brand new, with a couple of thousand miles on it. Chris's brother got that car, with the agreement that he would give us his second car. Chris's brother's car was a big old boat with over 100,000 miles. I am ashamed to say I was angry at getting this car, even though it was a gift that had practically been dropped in our driveway when we really needed it. But I said, really? I thought, this is provision? I was taken aback by my own lack of gratitude. We had gotten what we needed, but it wasn't the car make, model, or age I wanted. I definitely needed an attitude adjustment, and that attitude needed to be gratitude. It's a lesson I learned 30 years ago and have been reminded of many times since. So number 4 is of how to love your life is know what matters most in this season of life. Emphasis on this season. I'm talking about this busy season of raising a family, which will last several years, but not forever. What matters most to you right now? Our priorities shift based on the season we're in. And I know sometimes it seems like we'll never get to the project or interest or career shift or even have time to join a book group, or it feels like we're missing out, spoken from a true FOMO girl. But the time will come when the season will pass. Your children will grow up and your time will open up. You will have a book group or a writing project that you're passionate about, or time, focus, and energy to do the things you believe you'll never get to if you don't just do it now. But doing it now can lead to burnout and exhaustion at a cost both you and your family may pay. So what are your 3 biggest priorities? What's most important in this season? You only have so much time and energy. Where will you choose to direct it? What can wait and what can't wait? The days truly are long, but the years are short.
And now if anyone wants to ask questions, we're going to take a few minutes for
Sure.
Q&A.